Hey honey badgers. So here is some real life realness for you when it comes to diamond painting. I was getting ready to set up to film for a what I've been up to lately kind of video, works in progress, that kind of thing. Because I figured I hadn't really done a video in a little bit other than the shorts. And I was going to talk about this kit that I was working on, and I had this little piece of paper that came with the kit. Accidentally set it down, not realizing I had stuck, or I hadn't put the plastic back down. Rookie move, I know. But I figured I would take the opportunity to show anybody that maybe has this happen to them. If you're new to diamond painting and you accidentally set a piece of paper too close to your glue field or something, don't freak out. I was going to show you what you can do. Since, like I said, rookie mistake, wasn't paying attention to what I was doing and had the oh no moment. So if this has happened to you and you are under the impression that you have to throw your canvas away, you don't. All you need is a baby wipe, makeup wipe, whatever you got on hand. The one I have immediately next to me are these Can Do flushable wipes. Little PSA. Even if it says flushable, do not flush wipes down your septic system at all, ever. Bad idea. Anyway, that's beside the point. But just, if you see that, don't do that. Just throw them in the trash. Just do your local plumber a favor, please. Anyway, these are just ones I found at Walmart. For anybody that comes to my house and sees baby wipes everywhere, I use them on my dogs. Because my vet said, you don't have to spend the money on the big fancy pet specific products. If you don't want to, you can just use baby wipes, like standard baby wipes, and it'll save you a little bit of money and do the same job. So these primarily I use with my bulldog, because bulldogs take a lot of, they have a lot of the folds. You got to clean them all the time, constantly, end to end. So I typically have packs of these laying around everywhere. So I had one in my art space because Ziggy, my bulldog, he's an older dog now, so most of his time is spent just chilling next to my desk or whichever room I'm in. So I had these immediately next to me. So whatever you got on hand, all you need to do is basically get in there and blot the area where the paper is and get the paper wet. And then it's kind of a process. You got to sort of like peel it up with your nail or something. I would recommend using your nail, or maybe something thin but blunt. I wouldn't recommend going in there with the sharp tweezers or whatever, just in case you happen to puncture your canvas, which would not be ideal. But you see how it is peeling up. So you just do that little by little. Like I said, it is a bit of a process when this happens, but you don't have to throw your canvas away. So yeah, you just do that. This has got to be like the weirdest ASMR ever. Well, probably not ever, but it's got to be up there. But hey, if you're into it, I'm not going to knock your kinks. Okay. So basically you just keep doing that and try to get the paper fiber off of there. So you see how it's little by little it's coming off. And there you go. You just keep doing that till the paper residue is gone. And then if you want to, you can use a fresh wipe if you don't want the paper residue. Like if you're concerned about the paper residue still being on the canvas, you can use a different wipe. And when this is something I've learned from experience, when you go over the canvas with the wipe, immediately it's going to feel like it didn't do anything, or it took the glue off, and you're going to think, oh no, it's ruined. Just give it a few minutes and the stickiness will start to come back. See, like right now, it feels like it's going to dry out and not be sticky anymore, but it just needs a few minutes to sort of, I don't know, dry back out and re-adhere, or whatever you want to call it. But let's see if I have it nearby. If you happen to have an area that doesn't seem as sticky as it used to be. This I originally found at Dollar Tree, I think. And anytime I find it at Dollar Tree, I tend to buy a bunch of bottles of it, because this is some of the best stuff for doing, at least from what I've found, for doing quick touch-up spots, because it doesn't get freaking everywhere. And it's got, whoops, started to take the wrong cap off. So it's got this, and it's one of those caps that doesn't stick on itself, which is nice. You know, like when you get super glue and you go to use it once and you try to put the cap back on and then it's super glued its lid. This doesn't happen with this. This is just poster board glue, basically. It's essentially kind of like rubber cement. So even if you get it on your hands, you can just sort of ball it up and it'll peel right off. But it's got this nice like fine tip applicator, so you can just do like a square or two dotting of glue and put the drill over it, and it dries pretty quickly. So yeah, if you can't find this brand, I just thought I'd point it out. If you find something similar, as far as like maybe just look up poster board adhesive in general, that might be an idea for you if you need to do spot areas. This is typically what I use. Sometimes I get partials. Partials are usually where I run into the biggest problem, where, you know, sometimes you'll get like dry spots around the partials where they didn't quite spread the glue field out far enough. Or every once in a while I might get a full drill like this and there'll be like one or two spots that for some reason are dried out. This is great for just like going in there and, you know, like say I had to do like this quick little area inside this tree or something, I could just, you know, it's easy to control with the tip on there. So just thought I would mention that while we're here doing this. So yeah, but you see, now it's starting to come back, the stick. So I'm gonna keep cleaning this up and come back and do the rest of the video I intended. Cleaned up for the most part, so I figured I'd just go ahead and talk about this now so that I can set this aside and let it finish drying now that I got that paper cleaned off. So this is my current WIP. I know everybody is sort of in that fall type, we're not, I guess it's unfair to say everybody, but a lot of people in the diamond painting community tend to be what they call seasonal painters, where you do whatever sort of thing is in season, as far as like, you know, if it's this time of year, you'll do Halloween stuff or fall stuff, or, you know, during the summer you did stuff like this. And I normally am that way, but this year I decided to be a little bit more strategic and, I don't know, planning mode, I guess, with my diamond painting, at least for a little while. There were a lot of older projects or older kits that I wanted to get to, and so some of that meant that I was going to have to work on stuff that maybe wasn't necessarily in season, which gave me an idea for a topic to do another WIP and chat coming up. I just have to find a day where I can sit down and film it. That's why I haven't done a lot of WIP and chats, because I'm not always good at like sitting down and just talking off the cuff about random things. I feel better doing WIP and chats when I have something, you know, a direction to go in. So that's why there's only been really one that I've done so far. But I do want to do more in the future. So there should be another one coming up relatively soon. But yeah, for this year, I'm not necessarily going to be as much of a seasonal diamond painter. I have this, it's kind of what I said, I think in another video, where I was explaining what I was doing with the Honey Badger online gallery page on Instagram, which is linked in the section, you know, info box down below, I believe. If it's not, let me know and I can put it in the comments or something. But I was trying to make the layout of that kind of make sense in my mind, so it has more of a recognizable flow, so that, you know, you're not, when you go to scroll it, you're not jarring from, you know, theme to theme. So I was doing it more, hopefully with a little bit more fluidity, as far as like, oh, okay, here's like some fantasy, and then there's some beach scenes, and then there's some cartoon characters, but like the layout of it hopefully will make sense the way I'm doing it in the long run. So that's partly why it's not as seasonal right now. It's probably going to be more seasonal down the road, but I'm still in the sort of like structuring phase of that page. So with that said, there's going to be a few more sort of beachy, late summer, islandy type ones. I think I have one or two, this one and maybe another one. I can't remember now. I think I'm moving out of those, and pretty soon we'll go into like the late summer ones I had planned that were a little bit more country in theme, and then gradually move into the fall ones. So the fall ones, as far as like some of the Halloween ones I had planned, those are likely going to also go into November, because I don't really have a lot of like Thanksgiving type ones that I necessarily do. I might do a pumpkin one here and there, but I'm not the biggest Thanksgiving celebrator. You know, a portion of my family is Native American, so you can understand that I wasn't, you know, raised with a strong sense of that. We did celebrate it a little bit because the other side of my family is very European. So there was, you know, that sort of traditional element as far as like, I also grew up dirt poor, so we didn't always have money to have the full turkey dinner at the holidays. So sometimes it was just chicken or, you know, fish sticks or whatever mom could afford that year. So Thanksgiving was not always the biggest celebration in our family growing up, and I don't think I've, in my adulthood, other than when I've worked restaurant jobs and I've made them for work, I don't think I've ever cooked a turkey dinner myself. So yeah, it's not a big thing. You know, I was in a relationship for a long time with somebody who was allergic to turkey meat, or apparently. I didn't know that was a thing, but until I met him. But yeah, apparently turkey meat always made him sick. So for years, I didn't do anything with that either. So yeah, Thanksgiving, I'm kind of like in the middle of the road about, I guess. So as far as like theme stuff, I get more excited about Halloween and Christmas. Christmas is my very favorite holiday, has been, you know, being a December baby, it's always been the big, the Christmas was the one that was always the big deal in our family. So I get excited for that, and I like the fun of Halloween and stuff. So those are usually the two holidays I do the most on. So yeah, because of that, some of my Halloween ones will probably melt into Thanksgiving type period. I feel like my words are very off today, so excuse me for that. So anyway, this is the island one I'm working on right now. The paper that got stuck to it, I was going to mention, I don't know if these people are still in business because I got this kit a couple years ago, I think, but this is the company Artico. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that. So yeah, not quite sure if they're still in business. This was a random one I found on Amazon a long time ago, but you know, when you do budget kits, it's kind of uncommon when you find them attached to actual company names that aren't like a million random letters stuck together. So yeah, with these kits that I'm going to mention, I can't guarantee that I'll be able to find links for them. At the very least, I will try to see if I can find something that's sort of similar, if you like this kind of style. Like with this one, I don't think I've seen this one around anytime soon since I bought this one a few years back, but maybe I can put a link down below for something that's like sort of folksy, similar in style. I don't know. But yeah, this is my current WIP. Probably won't take too long because there is a good bit of confetti in it, but like in the house and stuff, there's a fair amount of color blocking over here, and like the tree is all 310, so it's been going relatively quickly. I only just started it today, basically. It doesn't come with crystals, but let's see. Where I put crystals down here, it was originally this sort of like, it's a brown, but it's got a little bit of like a orangey undertone in it. And there's not that many in the kit of this color, so when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna use sort of orange brown crystals in there out of my own spares stash, because I feel like, you know, if you have them in your stash and you want to use them, why not? So yeah, that's currently what I'm working on. I gotta be careful with this because like I said, it is an older kit and the plastic split on me earlier, so be gentle with that. I'm gonna go ahead and move that. And like I said, if I find something, if I find that one or something similar, I will link it down in the description box down below. But I figured I would talk about the two most recent finishes I had just before that one. Not that that one's finished, but you know what I'm saying. So I was working on these. Oops, they're not quite. Let me see if I can lift up just a little bit. I don't know how much of it's going to allow me in frame. Anyway, I was working on these travel, they're sort of like vintage travel poster styles. Again, ones I got a couple years ago, I think. Like I said, I've been working on older kits here recently. I have some newer ones on the list to get to, but we're working up to those. So these are all in the 30 by 40 range. The one I showed at the beginning, the one I'm currently working on, that's one of those ones that I think is like, you know, obviously under 30 by 40. I think these two, they're closer to true 30 by 40 size. But as you can guess, this one was crazy confetti heavy. This one I had to do a lot of color working, reworking on to be happy with it. As a lot of you probably know, when you get into text in diamond painting, a lot of times for some reason when they design them, they always want to put like half a dozen colors in the text, and nobody knows why, because 9 times out of 10 it's completely unnecessary. It makes your text look like crap and largely unreadable. And this was no different. The way it was originally graphed, I think it would have been really messy and you wouldn't have been able to make out all the colors. So what I ended up doing was largely I went back in, and I'm pretty sure that this, I forget originally what color that was supposed to be. I want to say it was maybe closer to like the sand color down here, but I felt like it was gonna look weird. So what I ended up doing was, I think I took some of my spare 3865 white and just did the outlines of the letters and just outlined those the best I could. And then I just sort of tried to eyeball the shading from there. So I thought I would talk about this a little bit for anyone that's new to diamond painting and maybe they run into a text issue like this and they're wondering how to do it. I thought I would just explain my process. Not that it's that complicated, but you know, some people just need some pointers sometimes when they get into this and they're like, hey, how do I not make this look like butt? So I thought I would share what I do. So when I look at this, I try to take into account like what the overall landscape is. Not specifically that it has to be a landscape painting, just whatever you're working on. If it's a picture of a dog or a cat or a person, whatever, look at where the text is laying and look at what's supposed to be in the background and see how you can most naturally make the text fit into that. So like I said, I just went in and started with, okay, I want to make the letters make sense. So I did the initial outline of all the letters in white, and then there was a little bit of like the mixed shading in between the letters, and I looked at that thinking, I tried it for a little bit to see could I keep some of the original plotting for the shading to make them pop out, and the shading was just weird. It didn't quite fit for what I was going for. It didn't make sense to my eyes, so I just scrapped that, and what I ended up doing was just using the coloring I was using in the sky, and decided I didn't necessarily need it to be 3D looking on this one. I would be okay if it was more just 2D, I guess. So with the parts that weren't outlined in white, I just went in and, like back here, I was doing a lot more greens and blue greens for where this mountain is supposed to be. So that's what I used on this side. On this side, there was a little bit more sky because the mountain was coming down. So to mix in the sky shading, I did a little bit more blue or blue-gray to make it make sense over there. So that's why a lot of times these kits take me a little bit longer, because you know, you put the time into it, you want it to make sense, and you want it to, you know, be nice. I'm not here for speed. There's no ribbon at the end of this if you complete so many. You know, you're doing it for you. Outside of you, most of the world doesn't care. So you might as well make it nice for you. So I try to, you know, even with the budget kits, I try to make them look as nice as possible. I don't care if I spent $2 on it or $80 on it. Doesn't matter to me. If I put the time into it, I want it to make it look as nice as possible. So I put care and time into all of the ones I work. So when I sat down with this, I took my time, and I you know, did a little bit on this side, and then I stopped and looked at it, and then did a little bit on this side and stopped and looked at it. And sometimes I would pull stuff off because it didn't look quite right to my eye. I'd put something else there, and sometimes I'd have to go through that process 3 or 4 times. And you know, it's different for everybody when they get into this. There are people that just sort of want to do the process, as far as like they like the repetitiveness, the calming repetitiveness of just laying down the drills and finishing and then being done with it. And they don't necessarily want to complicate it with you know, going rogue, I guess you'd call it, and doing your own thing. So I'm not saying there's any right way to do it. I'm just explaining, like, you know, the process I have. And if you're similarly minded, this is kind of how I work it out in my head. I tend to hyperfixate on details a lot, and I understand that that's part of the way I'm wired, but you know, I don't knock anybody else's process. They, you know, it's your hobby, it's your thing. Do it the way you want to do it. And I'm like that with any hobby or belief system or whatever that people have. You know, I'm very much a let people do how they want to do, as long as they're not hurting anybody kind of person. So that was my thinking with that. I also reworked some of the roof lines because I forget what the color was exactly, but I think when I originally looked at it, it was more of like a more brash, like orangey yellow up here. And when I looked at the other colors that were around it, I felt like that was just a bit much for my liking. So I ended up doing a softer yellow for my spares on there. And there's actually a few different colors of yellow up in here. But again, I thought about, like, when you're thinking about like art layout and you think about where light tends to hit. Again, I would do like a darker, like up here, I had a slightly darker yellow, whoops, not quite in frame, slightly darker yellow up here because it's farther away. Down here would probably be getting more sun in nature, so I did those a little bit brighter. And then a little bit brighter yet down in this awning, and then down in the sun. So that's kind of how I work it out in my head. And I just, when I'm doing spares like that, I just try to do it to where it makes sense. Like if I only have a little bit of one color in a spare, like I think when I did this one, I only had a certain number of yellows down here. So I decided to use them in the boat. And then when I had a different color that was more, but I thought maybe I wouldn't have enough elsewhere, maybe I would do it in like one of the walls or something like that. So that's kind of how I plot it out. And then the other trick I use is that down here with like mixed flowers, it doesn't really matter if it's an exact match, because they're wildflowers. Wildflowers vary in color. So if you want to mix it up and do different colors in flower patches, it's not going to mess up the picture from what I've found. I don't think I added any specials to this one. I think I pretty much just did it largely as plotted. I just switched out a few colors here and there to make it a little bit more calming overall, but this one did take me some time to ultimately finish. So then once I got done with that one, I went a little bit darker. So I guess I got, unintentionally got a little bit into fall themes here. Because this one is primarily, oops, there it goes. This says Granada. So this is primarily just in tones of brown and black and a little bit of yellow, a tiny bit of orange. And then the only sort of variation from that was down here. You can see there's a little bit of like sort of plum color to create the shadowing down here. And up in the trees a little bit. And that's basically it. It's largely, I'd say about 60% of this is just 310. And then just brown. So this one took me a little while to finish, somewhat because of just the palette. It's not the most interesting palette to lay. So I would get a little bit bored with just doing brown and black. I mean, I knew it was going to look really cool once it was done, but like the process, I just tend to be like that sometimes when it's just so much of just brown and black over and over again. I do have to kind of push myself. The other thing was lately I've been trying to work out some nerve flares in my lower back and my legs. So I was only able to do a little bit at a time with that. And for anybody concerned, the pain is subsiding now. I've been doing a lot of like physical therapy and treatments and stuff on it. So it's starting to loosen up finally. But that's why this one was taking me a while, is because I would do a little bit of square and then I'd be like, I can't sit here anymore. And I'd have to go do a heat treatment or something. But a couple days ago, I finally got to the last little section. I think I finished up here somewhere. I finally laid the last little bit of sky, and then I was like, oh, thank God. But I am really happy with how it came out. This up here, I was talking about the shading up here, how I had to do it a little bit different because it looks weird. This one I kept pretty much as it was graphed. I actually don't think I changed anything on the text part on here because I think I took a picture of it before I started drilling. I'll try to insert it. I'm pretty sure I took a picture. I'll try to insert what this looked like on the drill field so you can see what I'm talking about. But when I looked at it, I saw that the way the colors were, it wasn't quite like the other kit where it didn't make sense. When I looked at this one, it made sense that it was going to make like a gradient look. So that's why I didn't mess with this one, because I wanted that gradient look. I thought that was one of the things that was really going to make it look really cool. I think the only big change I made to this one was for any of you that saw the little short I did about like we're not going to add any ABs. I think it was only like 15 seconds long because I was feeling silly and kind of poking fun at myself for being so drawn to putting ABs and stuff. That was this area here. Because originally I wasn't going to do any AB. I knew I wanted to do these kind of together. I'm pretty sure these are the only travel poster style ones I have. I know up to like maybe 5-6 months ago, I was seeing these styles, the travel poster styles in diamond painting kits all over the place. And since then, I feel like it's dropped off. I don't see them as much. So I know they're probably floating out there. I'll try to see if I don't know if I can track these specific ones down, but I'll try to see if anybody is still doing the travel poster style, if that's something you're interested in. If I can find these, I'll definitely link them down below. But yeah, when I was looking at this, I was realizing that, okay, this is a reflection pool. I feel like one of the things I think of when it's like a lot of brown and black is my brain says you need something to break all that up a little bit to kind of quell the boredom, like I said, of doing a lot of brown and black over and over again. So ABs help with that. So that's why I put just a tiny bit in there, just to sort of simulate moonlight hitting that one little spot. And then I put a few little, not a bunch, but just a few scattered into, I put some yellow ABs. I'll try to bring them up so maybe you can see. Let's see if we can get one of the yellow ones. It's a very faint yellow AB, so no, you can kind of see one right there. I put just a few in the fortress walls just to make it, you know, sparkle just a little bit extra. I put a couple of for all of you that look at my blog, or if you ever hear me talk about oil slick ABs, it's the sort of bluish purple ones. That's why I call them oil slick ABs, because if you've ever seen an oil spill on the ground, it makes that sort of color where sometimes it's purple, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's green, sometimes it'll look a little bit orange. That's why I call them oil slicks. So if I ever mention I used an oil slick AB, that's what I'm talking about. So yeah, I used some of those oil slicks in the window here, and the same ones down here. And then I put just a few around the tree branches just so you could see the tree branches a little bit better, so they weren't like fading into the black quite so much. And then again with the yellow ABs, I did a circle of it around the moon just to pop the moon out a little bit. I'm pretty sure that's all I switched out on here. I think everything else was as plotted. One of the reasons I was drawn to this particular image is my favorite place in the world, and I've traveled to a lot of different places over the country, but to this day, my favorite place in the world is Balboa Park, which is probably a little bit biased since it's my hometown. But if you've ever been to San Diego and been to Balboa Park, there's a bunch of Spanish style buildings there. And there's one building there that's, I think it's around the Botanical Pavilion, but it resembles this building. And there's a walkway you can go through that has like a garden area and a pool. I think it's been a few years since I've been out that way. But whenever I saw this building, my mind immediately went to being a kid and walking through the courtyard area of this one Spanish building in Balboa Park. So, and if I remember right, Granada is in Spain, so that would kind of make sense. So yeah, that was one reason why I was drawn to this image, because it's another one of those, oh yeah, kind of childhood memories of growing up in Spanish style culture. So yeah, those were recent finishes I had. And yeah, that's the current project I'm working on. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I was going to talk about. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of a, hey, what I've been up to lately update. I have a few more, not a bunch, but I have a few more haul videos I need to do. I don't do a ton of online shopping, so that's why the haul videos are kind of sporadic because I sort of space them out a little bit, because I don't do a ton of shopping these days. But yeah, I do have a few more hauls coming up. I just need to edit them. I'm feeling a little bit better lately, so I'm trying to get caught up on stuff again. I was going to mention about the Honey Badger online gallery page thing on Instagram. One of the things I was going to mention is that there's a little bit of a delay for those of you that want to see completions. I do have a playlist on here on YouTube where I put the clips of completion reels. Basically, I just take the ones from Instagram. Sometimes I'll do them just for YouTube, but a lot of them are ones that I've posted on Instagram and I've just moved over here at some point. But I was just going to mention that it's a little bit delayed when I move them over to YouTube as far as like what my most recent completions are. So I was going to say, if you want to see a more closer to real-time idea of what my completions look like, the Instagram page that's linked down below is going to be closer to that. The ones I put on YouTube, they're a little bit more staggered. A lot of times because whenever I move them over to YouTube, I try to wait until I can do the written blog posts for them. And when I do the written blog posts, I try to put in all the links for anywhere I can find the kits, because I know that's kind of a peeve of mine when I watch other people's videos and they try to talk about something and they're like, oh, look how cool this kit is, and then there's no link or no mention of where they got it or anything. So you might see a really cool kit from somebody else's channel and they give you zero information about it. They're just like, it's cool, right? Okay, thanks for watching. And you know, sometimes I'll watch other videos and I'm like, can you give me a direction to look in? And some creators are really cool as far as like, if you just ask them, they'll tell you, but a lot of times they're like, oh, I don't remember. So I log all of my purchases in my log books, my inventory books, as far as like where I purchased something. So I may not remember exactly where I got it in the moment when I'm filming a video, but I have record of where I bought it from in books, in my inventory books. So I can't necessarily guarantee that it's still going to be available through that seller, but I try my best to, because I do it for myself too. If somebody asks me, you know, where did you get that? I'll try to go back and think, okay, so maybe I found it on Amazon. Amazon doesn't have it anymore. Where else can I look? And I at least have a starting point to remind myself with. So a lot of times when I move stuff over here from YouTube, or when I post it on YouTube, that usually means I have the blog post ready and there should be some kind of link for you, if I can find anything linked in that blog post, so that you have a solid place to go for any information I found about that kit. But if it's still over on Instagram, I don't always have that ready. So yeah, a lot of times if you want a more real-time feel of what my completions look like, the Instagram page is a good place to go, because typically I upload them there pretty much the day of, or within a day or two of when I finish them. So I just thought I would mention that. I think that's it for now, guys. So yeah, that's what I've been up to lately. So yeah, feel free to tell me what you're working on down below. If you're a seasonal painter, if if you don't give a damn and you just like working on what you like working on and you just do whatever, I don't know, share your thoughts down below and we will talk soon. Bye, guys.